In late August, at nearly 18 weeks of pregnancy, Melissa Farmer was diagnosed with preterm premature rupture of the membranes, known as PPROM, a life-threatening condition for both the baby and the mother. Doctors at a hospital in Missouri, the state where Farmer was living at the time, recommended that she undergo an abortion. But despite their own medical recommendations, they refused to perform the procedure. Why? Because under Missouri law, nearly all abortions are banned. And even though the ban does include an exception if the mother's life is at risk, some doctors, fearing prosecution, are turning away patients in need of life-saving treatment. Farmer and her partner then traveled more than 150 miles away to a Kansas City hospital for help, but were given the same response. Although her health was at risk, they claimed they could not legally terminate the pregnancy. Now, in a first-of-its-kind investigation, the Biden administration found that those two hospitals in Missouri and Kansas violated federal law by denying Farmer an abortion. Melissa Farmer joins me now to share her story. We're also joined by her attorney, Michelle Banker, the Director of Reproductive Rights and Health Litigation at the National Women's Law Center. I want to thank both of you for being here this morning. Melissa, I want to start with you. Thank you especially for coming on the show to discuss this with us. You eventually were able to find a clinic hundreds of miles away in Illinois to get the life-saving medical care you needed. But what was running through your mind during this entire ordeal? Did you feel let down by a medical system whose sole purpose is to save lives and keep us healthy?
Absolutely. The system that I trusted failed me. I was terrified for my life, and it was a horrific experience on top of the trauma of losing our daughter. It was, it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare.
Go ahead.
To have doctors refuse your care and tell you that your life is in danger at the same time was just unimaginable.
And Michelle, you helped Melissa file a complaint to the Health and Human Services Department that the hospitals in Missouri and Kansas violated the Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act. What were those hospitals supposed to do for Melissa in order to be in compliance with federal law?
So EMTALA is a law that's been around for 40 years. It was passed in 1986. And under EMTALA, when a patient presents to a hospital experiencing an emergency medical condition, the hospital must provide stabilizing medical treatment. And that includes emergency abortion care. EMTALA has long protected pregnant patients, as well as all patients. And oftentimes, an emergency abortion is the necessary stabilizing treatment when someone is experiencing an emergency pregnancy complication.
Melissa, from the stress of everything that you went through, you've been dealing with a lot of health complications. Can you share with us how your physical and your mental health are right now?
I have been slowly improving, so that's the good news, but it has been a long road of trauma, emotional and physical as well. It has taken its toll, but at the same time, there is recovery and hope in the future.
Melissa, I just want to stay with you for a second because I want the viewers that are tuning in right now to understand this is a pregnancy that you wanted. This is a pregnancy and a baby that you hoped to be able to bring into and create a family with. The fact that you kept on literally being turned away repeatedly by medical providers, when you asked them why, what were the excuses that were given to you?
The first hospital that I went to in Freeman in Joplin was that the law was not clear enough because I had a positive fetal heartbeat that they could not intervene. The second time when we went to Kansas City, it was legal in Kansas. They had actually voted on it that day, so it was a hot issue. But the reason that the doctor denied us was because it was too politically heated in that environment right now, and they did not want to do anything that resembled an abortion.
Michelle, to Melissa's point, lawmakers in Missouri pointed out that the problem with the abortion law in that state is that it's too vague, that the language is too vague in that statute, and it's going to confuse doctors and hospital administrators. We've seen this happening in other states as well, where women are facing life-threatening emergencies during their pregnancies but are being turned away. You noted a couple of minutes ago the Biden administration last year issued guidance to hospitals that abortions should be considered to be stabilizing care. So what do you think needs to change to fix this problem in a post-Roe overturned world?
You know, I think that Melissa's story just really underscores the legal chaos and public health crisis that has been our reality ever since the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade last summer. I think we all take for granted that if we find ourselves in a medical emergency, whether that's a heart attack or a broken bone, that if we go to an emergency department, we'll get the care that we need. But for pregnant patients in this country, that's been turned on its head. If the emergency you happen to be experiencing is a pregnancy complication, whether or not you are able to get the care that you need may depend entirely upon your zip code. And this is already at a time of extraordinarily emotional sensitivity when people are facing these situations. It is obviously unconscionable to be denied care and a violation of medical ethics. But what the Biden administration did by taking enforcement action on the complaints we filed on Melissa's behalf was to make crystal clear that lest there be any confusion, federal law required this care, and there are consequences for violating that law.
Melissa, you and your partner were ostracized from your community for speaking out about what happened to you. You not only had to leave your home, your community, but you even had to leave the state of Missouri, all because you were advocating for yourself and your health. Why do you choose to continue to speak out? What's your message to other women who might be going through something similar?
Our experience was horrific. There are no words to describe how horrible it was. I could not imagine asking another woman to go through what we went through and how dangerous it was. The list of health complications and the danger that I was in from my doctors was serious. And I have no idea how they have not changed or amended or done anything to these laws to help save women's lives.